Alright, well, here's another update. I'm pretty glad I got the roof painted and sealed up yesterday in between little scattered showers because it's raining pretty good right now. I'm in here working on the ceiling. I got a couple more boards to put in on that side. I got that side done except for the trim that I'm going to be doing in the corner there that's going to hide the wire. Got to figure out how to do something like that on this side too, but nothing dripping yet, so that's good. That's promising. Love the sound of the rain on the rooftop, so that's something I'm going to look forward to when I'm sleeping in it and camping out and everything. The rain sounds pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I've got the ceiling fully in. That's good. I've put 2 coats of linseed oil on the ceiling, so it definitely made some of those colors pop. I'm going to be doing one more after this layer cures. Takes, I don't know, 24 to 72 hours. It's been raining all day, so it's kind of humid. So it's taking a little longer than the first coat did, and the first coat gets absorbed into the wood easier. I've also got these 2x2s mounted here. They go all the way across, and what I'm going to do is take some plywood and kind of put it up there so it covers this gap here, and then I can also route wires in there. You can see on that side where I've got that wire that's been dangling this whole time. I got that up on top of there, but it'll cover that. I started reburning this wall. You can see where I stopped right there. Started reburning that because when I did this side, I guess I burned it a little deeper, a little darker, so I'm just going to reburn that, get it all to match, and then go from there. Because of where the hinge is on this, I had to take this board and trim it down so I could still open it. And that was fun. I took a saw and I cut a bunch of grooves at the angle I needed all the way down this, probably 50 cuts, and then I chiseled it out and sanded it down, so there's a few little imperfections, but handmade, I don't care. Well, I didn't fully think this wall through well enough. It's gonna work, but I just couldn't seem to put it together in my head in what order I was gonna put it together. So if I'd put all these boards in first, all the way up to the ceiling, and tapered them to the ceiling, then I would have had to cut the ceiling panels, you know, wherever this wall comes up, I would have had to cut them there, which this is the hole I ended up. I'll explain that in a second. But the ceiling panels would have, or these would have been cut, and there's nowhere to really screw the rest of these boards into if I cut them off right here. Like, yeah, I could just drill into this, but that's not as strong as actually drilling into the metal that's behind it. And then the other thing, if I would have put the ceiling boards in and then put the channel in, I wouldn't have been able to weld the channel to the ceiling, which is what I ended up going with anyways. I've got this metal bar in now. Got a couple screws going through the metal into the cabinet, which makes it nice and sturdy now. I've also got the wire going up this channel. I screwed up and I put all the ceiling planks in before I routed the wire up through this hole right here that the metal goes into. I originally wanted the wire to go up there, across, and it hooks in right where that pink tape is where the power wire goes. But I screwed up and I put all the boards in, and then I realized that red wire right there was hanging out the bottom, which was the one that's supposed to be soldered into this. But luckily I had just enough length to where I could route the wire up this, and then I cut a groove down the top of the panels so the wire comes down the panels, then shoots over here to where it goes to the fuse panel. So got that taken care of. Not the best way I wanted to do it, but I wasn't about to pull all these ceiling panels back down because it's a pain doing that by yourself. I also painted the front of the bus. I had some of this Rust-Oleum hammered paint, kind of gives it a textured look. It's slightly metallic. I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. I was thinking about going back in with some copper colored paint and just adding little accents, kind of brighten it up a little bit. I still have to frame in this wall. As you can see, it's almost an inch out of square, so this wall is pushed forward, so I got to frame it out to here, and then I'll cover it with wood. And then I'll also wrap the wood around this corner, cover this edge, and up to the top. I'll have the head unit sticking out right here, which will also be, covered in wood. So that's why the paint's a little splotchy right there. I wasn't too concerned about it. I got the gas line routed. I just cut a hole in the floor with a little oscillating saw. Not sure exactly what they're called, but I think that describes it. So that comes back here where it'll hook up to the bulk tank. Runs across. It's got a leak detector / pressure gauge on this end. And then I've got the hookup for the water heater, that's connected. And then I'll have a Y splitter here. I got that inside, I haven't installed it yet, but the Y splitter will come off of here so I can plug in the water heater and then also the oven once I get that installed. I got started on the plumbing. I've got a little drop ear connector right here with some 1/2-inch tubing coming out of it. That's nice and flush with this wall right here. Just about, at least. But once I screw it into the boards that'll be right here, it'll be good. The front will go on. Still got to put the cladding up, but that's where the shower head will connect. That's where the valve will come through. I moved it over right here just so I didn't need an extra T at the bottom, so I can run it diagonally to the corner. And then just put, or not a T, but a 90. I can put a 90 at the bottom so it comes out behind here. And then I'm just using PEX, and it's got these little crimp connectors. They hide these on a different aisle from all the other PEX crimp connectors. Normally the tools that they sell to tighten the connectors are about 40 to 80 bucks just for some crimpers. But they got these on the next aisle over next to the sprinkler systems, and they do the same thing, but these are 12 bucks. Once you have the ring on your PEX, you just grab this kind of right in here. Got to make sure you're seated well, but then you just pinch it real tight, and that'll crimp it like that. This one kind of went a little crooked. I'm hoping it's not going to be an issue, but the way I'm going to build this wall here, I'm going to have the tongue cut off of this tongue and groove panel, so that way I can unscrew it. If I need to get into the wall, I'll be able to unscrew it, lift it off, and take the wall apart. Or the countertop will be right here, so I don't have to worry about the countertop locking it in, so I can just pull it out. That's kind of why I put the valve right at this level. I wanted to get a nice shower valve for the wall, but they didn't have any that would fit inside the wall. They were all too thick. This one even, I'm still going to have to, let's see, get that lined up. I'm still going to have to trim it down, or trim the board down just a little so it fits over this. But that won't be too hard. I just got to, bevel a little bit out around it, and it'll fit right in. And same with this PEX. I'll just angle it back inside the wall. That one's nice and flush though, but yeah, they didn't have single handle, valves that you'd typically see in a shower. So I went with this just so I could mount it through the wall and still have room back here. I also started testing out some general shapes for speaker boxes. That one's just a little mock-up box. I was testing the different volumes, so I started out with an 8x8x8 box, and then went to 8x8x5, and then 8x8x3. The 3, it struggled a little bit with the lower notes, so I drilled those 2 holes in it, which just helped vent the air a little bit. I ported it, in other words. I just didn't want a giant 8x8 box sticking out of my walls in the corners, so I figure that's a good depth. It's not the best for bass, but I'll have my subwoofer mounted in that back wall there. Well, it stopped raining and sort of dried up. We still got a bit of a lake over there, but I got my inverter wired up in the battery compartment here. It's got a power button right here. Let's see if I can get it. But it's also got this extension that I can mount inside, so I can turn it off from inside so it's not drawing power. It's a 1200 watt pure sine wave inverter from, I'm not even going to try and say that, but yeah, 1200 running watts and 2400 peak, so I think that should power just about anything I want. The biggest thing I can immediately think of powering would be the amp for my guitar, which is 100 watts, but a 100 watt amp draws about 350 watts when it's full power, so I went overkill with it, and this will just power, you know, it'll power some power tools and stuff. I still need to run, I'm going to run an extension cord up through the floor and then into the area where the fridge is. And then I can run, off of that, I can run a couple outlets and call that good for 110 power.